everyone. So, I have the opportunity to have a great conversation today with a dear friend, a lady that I highly respect and look up to. One of the questions or one of the topics that we discussed was regarding a family member and care, end of life care. So, basically just it was about the financial aspect of it and really making sure that you're prepared and how can you know if you're prepared enough or not. I know one of the tips that you can use is simply, especially if they were smart enough in advance to get a long-term care plan, so you can take a snapshot basically of what the lump sum available is and kind of do some math to come up with longevity and all this, but not to get too far ahead of myself. So I hope not to keep you long, but let's have a quick discussion about being prepared for aging parents and their future, which will ultimately impact your future as well, right? So once mom and dad's money runs out, someone's going to have to help make ends meet. And sometimes even before the money runs out, you have to be there to help ends meet, especially if they haven't prepared in advance for their end of life care. See, the situation is, or what tends to happen is the fact that seniors prepare either early in life or late in life to try to start saving for retirement. Well, retirement and end of life care can potentially be two totally different things, right? So retirement, you're thinking you're still mobile, you're still active, you're fairly healthy, you're still out and about, you're mostly thinking about like if you're the traveling type, getting some traveling done. If you are the homebody type, getting some renovations around the house, or just kind of doing things to make the home more comfortable, things like that. But you're not really thinking about, if something happens, how do I make sure that I have the extra money that's going to be needed to make sure that I'm going to be able to get the kind of care that I need. Now, when I say this, I don't exactly mean that you're going to be in a hospital, but what if, say, you have to have a surgery and there's going to be a recovery time there? If by chance your spouse is not able to help you, or your spouse passes before you do, or let's say your children live out of town, and we all know that sometimes things happen, and so there can be something there to break that familial bond, right? There can be something that can break down communications, and you're not speaking to your children, or your children are not speaking to you. So there's a lot of things that can happen that can make it difficult. I'm currently working on another blog that's titled Elder Orphans. And it's a term that kind of came up in a conversation that I was having with another industry leader. And it wasn't a term that, the terminology I wasn't familiar with, but the concept and the ideology behind the terminology I was very familiar with so many years of working and dealing with seniors and volunteering and things like that. It's basically where the senior citizen is literally an orphan at the end of life, where the kids are not close by, kids are not speaking or communicating, and you're left kind of to fend for yourself. And most of the time it's on a very limited income with very limited access to resources. So let's take a look here. Now, one of the things that you want to try to access, hopefully your children are engaged in your care. I know one of the things that's very important for me and very important in the training of staff is to make sure that you are not a replacement for a child or a sibling or whatever, a family member. you are that bridge to connect the two, right? So a good example is there's a mother and daughter they are very similar, but their communication sometimes they misinterpret or what the other one is trying to say. And so that can really cause a breakdown in the relationship. So one of the goals as a caregiver is you want to be the bridge. You don't want to be the replacement. You want to be the bridge. You want to make things better. You want to be the peacemaker, the peacekeeper, and the peace giver to that client. So if you do have a family member, what I call a primary family caregiver, if you do have someone that does engage in the seniors activities, and if they come to you with these questions, one of the things you will want to do is you definitely want to assess their needs, right? So you want to assess, are they still mobile? Are they getting their annual checkups? Is their medication, if they are on medication, is it stable? Is it consistent? Or is it jumping up and down because of maybe a lack of regulation of their sugar, or a lack of regulation of their high blood pressure, things like that. So you need to really assess what their needs are. Do they need someone there that's going to make sure that they're taking their medication every day the way that they are supposed to? Do they need someone there? If they're beginning to get a little forgetful, do they need someone there to help them manage just activities of daily living is the medical term, but in layman's term, or someone to remind them, hey, did you take your shower today? Did you remember to take your meds? Are you hungry? Can I make you something? Well, that has a lot of sugar in it. How about if we have that, but we make it this way? Little things like that, just someone. So you want to assess their needs, and you also, in assessing their needs, you want to look at if they're going to, especially if they're going to stay in the home, which most seniors prefer to do. If they are going to stay in the home, what are the needs for them to safely be able to be in that home, right? So is it a split level? Is it do they have a stairs that they have to navigate? All these things. So if they want to stay in the home, but it has stairs, then maybe you want to turn one of the rooms downstairs into a bedroom. Maybe you want to turn one of the half baths into a full bath. Just little things like that. So you're going to want to assess their needs, just on a physical layer, a level, and then you're going to make the decision from there if you want to keep them in the home or move them going forth. Now, when it comes to financial resources, now you definitely want to review your parents' net worth, right? So you want to calculate, and there's a lot of things that come into this calculation. Their retirement savings, right? Their debt, their monthly payments that they have to make, security, pensions, assets, other income, and then based on their current monthly living expenses, you want to know how long the money can last. Now, what you can do, which is what I suggested to my friend, is take that lump sum amount, because we just basically talked about the long-term care and the, what they have saved in the bank, things like that. Take that lump sum amount, right? That's specifically allocated to care. Right? You want to make sure that you're not adding in money that's going to go towards bills or other things, because you're trying to get as close to an exact figure as possible. So take that amount, and a lot of things you can do. Okay, so there are websites. For those of you that don't know, insurance agencies, especially life insurance agencies, so they have actuaries, right? Duh. But actuaries, they actually have an actuarial, living scale. So it's a lot of calculations and done in the background. But what it does is it calculates an estimation of your length of life, and it's determined on a lot of things, and there are actually websites that you can use. Now, I'm not highly recommending any of them, right? I just want to let you know the information's out there. So I actually visited like 4 of them, and they were roughly about and keep in mind, now that is a small sample size, and so there was a standard deviation of about 4 or 5. Well, make it 3 to 5, right? A standard deviation about 3 to 5 from the information that they were giving me. But that is a very small sample size, so it's not so much accurate as anything. But some of the websites that you can use, there's actually a retirement and survivors benefit life expectancy calculator on the Social Security Administration website. You can actually use that one. I think that one was really simple. It only asked about 3 or 4 questions. You can, there's one at, actually, just Google life expectancy calculator. It'll ask a few simple questions, and then it'll give you an output. I would do several of them just to get a gauge. Now, again, no one knows where death is, so no one knows exactly when. This is just a resource to use to try to balance and get a gauge for how much money, right? So, let's see. If we have, let's see. So if we have, say, let's say that we have given mom or dad or whatever, according to the calculator, or according to what we believe is a family, mom and dad has about an 8-year life expectancy left, right? So 8 years and 12 months in a year, so we have 96 months. Okay, so if we take that number, and if they say they have $100,000 left in savings, so 100,000 divided by 96, so that means that for 8 years they have approximately $1,041.67 that they can utilize a month just in care. After 8 years or 96 months, that money's going to be depleted unless you're funneling in some back end savings towards that, or or something like that. But what that did is, she was like, wow, I didn't think about that. But what that does, it gives you an estimate of how much longer you have to live, right? Or excuse me, not to live, but to use that money before that amount is gone. So there are different ways you can look at this. Okay, so you have no means of adding more money to it, so that either I can try to figure out how to live off of the, like, a little over $1,000, try to find care, implement services, try to live off the $1,000, or I can try to let's see, I have $1,000, and that may be sufficient for now, but in a couple of years, things may change. So let me figure out how I can add some more money to that, right? Or maybe the children can help out to supplement some of that. But anyway, that's just a simple tip that you can use, some simple math that you can use, simple online resources that you can utilize to try to figure out how long, because, when you hear 100,000, 200,000, and mom and dad's already in their late 80s or 90s, you may think, okay, we're good to go. But think about it. In 8 years, see, not the problem per se, but the issue is that medicine is increasing our lifespan. It's giving us more longevity, but there are certain aspects of medicine that's not keeping up, right? So you're living longer, but your quality of life may not be as good. And then the end of life care, of course, suffers because you're living longer, the money is utilized a lot quicker, and then you're left without the proper care that you need. But anyway, this right here is just a simple conversation starter. Hopefully you'll leave some comments and suggestions below. Yeah, definitely. What do you think? What are some more ways that you think that you can better be prepared for end of life, or just simple, elderly care for your parents without having to hurt your wallets or hurt your purses? I don't know. But anyway, let's get the conversation started. Leave a comment below. Let's do this. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in and sharing these few minutes with me. Bye, guys.